Ms. Masonette,
Yeah.
something totally unrelated. I have a Zoom session at 10 for English today, so I might not be able to make it until 10:30 for
Got
the
it.
Zoom session.
Because you're in, excuse me, you're in period 3, and we start at 10. I see. And you have an English one at 10 as well?
Yeah, 10 to 10:30.
Just out of curiosity, because we just had a meeting about this yesterday. Who's your English teacher?
Slama.
Okay.
So that means that Emma's gonna have a conflict.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Well, depending on what she chose, actually, because it's
Okay.
depending on like our project we're working on. So.
Gotcha. And what do you have going on at 9? I know this is like back to back to back to back Zooms, but.
Nothing.
So if you wanted to, you could join the 9 o'clock period 2 Zoom if you wanted to. Okay. But if you feel like your English one, you could literally get out. You know, if you feel like you could get out at like 10:20 even, you might have enough time to join your group, or you can totally just do the assignment on your own.
All right. I guess I'll just join period 2.
Okay, whatever you want to do is totally fine.
All right, thank you.
And you can change your mind. Okay, hi everybody. Good morning, good morning, good morning. It looks like everybody's out of the waiting room. That seems to be working okay, right? Except for me, I just literally right before I signed on. So first of all, I signed on the wrong computer because I have multiple computers because one is good for Zoom, one is really good for like setting up classwork and stuff. So anyway, I was on my other computer and started Zoom and I was like, wait, this is the wrong computer. So then I shut that one down, or not shut it down, just moved over to my other computer. And in the middle of like trying to transfer computers on my very small kitchen table, I chucked my pencil. I had like this beautiful jar of pencils and highlighters and things, and I just went and I threw it right off my kitchen table, and now I have at least 600 markers and pens and pencils on the ground right next to me. It's giving me a small amount of anxiety, but I'll clean it up while you guys are working on your FRQ. Great. Just something to brighten your morning. Have I already showed you this? Does anyone know what it is? Yeah, Daniel Pop, what is it? Daniel Pop.
An avocado?
Ooh, very close. It is a purse that looks like an avocado. Look at how cute this is. It's a little, I don't even know, a little coin purse, little for your chapstick, for your coins. Who has coins anymore? No one. I got it from Miss Rainey, and it's the cutest thing ever. And I definitely brought it to the grocery store with me, and was like using it as a person who was shopping with my avocado. And for sure they thought I was crazy when I got to the checkout stand, because I'm like clutching my avocado. And they're like, do you want to pay for that? And I'm like, no, because this is my purse, ha ha ha. But it brought me some light. So anyway, that's a little joy for your day, or you can just be laughing at me. Either way, hopefully you're smiling. Great. Daniel, were you here yesterday? Okay, so I'm gonna just do a quick overview again for Daniel, just a quick Cliff's Notes version of what's going on during these morning sessions. During these morning sessions, again, we are going to be doing, sorry, just really distracted. We are going to be doing some FRQ practice. We'll just go over some of the language and the verbiage of what you might hear. We'll practice doing the FRQs in the exact amount of time that's given. Our biggest issue as, you know, mindful test takers will be that we overthink the whole process. That we're like, oh my gosh, I need to write so much, or I need to look up every exact answer, or, you know, whatever it may be. We need to push aside the need to fill all the time. And we have to be at peace with knowing that we're going to prepare so much for this AP, for these FRQs, that these FRQs might take us 5 minutes when we get into it. And that's okay. That 5 minutes is plenty to recopy down what you already know or what you've already practiced and submit it and be okay with that. We got to try to push away the doubt and the second guessing. Okay. So during these mornings, what we'll do is I'll put up an FRQ. We'll just talk about what the question is asking. We'll kind of pick apart any AP language that maybe we need to define, and then I'll give you the exact amount of time to do it, and then we can ask questions about it. Today's is, again, on Unit 1. When I'm looking through all of the Unit 1 FRQs, they all look very, very similar. So don't be surprised if you feel like, oh, wow, this one looks kind of like the one we did yesterday and kind of like the one you assigned for homework. And that's how they go. But we'll see very, very small changes in these, enough that you want to make sure that when you're reading your real one on the day of the test, that you know which one you're picking from. And it doesn't mean that you can't use, if it's not exactly the same, it doesn't mean you can't use your whole answer. It just might mean that you have to take little pieces of different FRQs that you've practiced and compile it into the one that you have to answer. Hopefully that makes sense. So again, don't be surprised if it feels a little bit the same, and just have your FRQ from yesterday, or if you've started on the one from the homework for Unit 1, maybe have that one handy so that you can kind of draw from that. And then hopefully as we go through these more and more, you'll start to find that you're getting quick at them. And that's the idea, especially when it gets to the long FRQs. We're going to practice a long FRQ in our group Zoom today with your group members so that you guys can talk through it together. When you get to those long FRQs, it's really easy to do one of two things. One is be overwhelmed by how many steps they want you to complete in the short amount of time. And you're like, oh my gosh, how am I supposed to get through A through E? I'm anxious, I'm rereading too many times, and now I've lost time. Or number two, that you're like, okay, I got this. You start on A, you do A for 10 minutes, and then all of a sudden you have to get through B through E in only another 10 or 15. Ew. So it's more about time management than anything else. Okie dokie. Let's see, how do I want to do this? I forget how I did it yesterday. Stand by. Do 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 do. Aha, yes. Oh, yes. Okay, that's how we did it, I think. Okay, so I'm gonna put the FRQ for today up. You can screenshot it or copy it down. Daniel, just so you know, yesterday I said everyone can just do this on a scratch piece of paper or within your notes, however you want to do it. This is not, you don't ever have to turn this into me. However, if you want feedback on it, I would just maybe have stuff written down so that you can, email it to me and say, hey, what do you think of these answers, if I don't get to them during this time period. A couple people sent me their FRQs from yesterday. I read over them, they were awesome, added some suggestions and sent them back. So hopefully stuff like that is helpful. So feel free to do that. Okay, here we go. Here's the FRQ. Just take a few minutes to copy it down or screenshot it, and then we'll dissect it together. And then I'll give you the 15 minutes. So don't necessarily start answering yet if you can avoid it. I know it's hard, it's tempting to just want to start answering. But just copy it down or screenshot it first, and then we're going to dissect it together. Oh gosh, see? Oh my gosh, they're everywhere, you guys. Oh, it's gonna be that kind of day. I can feel it. Okay, let's kind of start to dissect this puppy as far as what it's asking, because the faster you can identify what it's asking you, the faster you can get to actually answering it. And again, wow, this looks very similar to yesterday, and that's good. If you're already seeing, similarities between these two, you're going to be very successful when it comes to finding answers fast on the AP. Okay, so here we are. Just a thumbs up from someone. You can see my whiteboard. Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, so, oops. Always, I always mess up right away. It's talking to us about the properties of water again. Life on Earth depends on the properties of water. Cool. I know all about properties of water. I did them yesterday. I've been reviewing them. I'm ready to answer questions about that. Then it actually starts into its question. It says, describe how the properties of water contribute to two, I think it's even bolded for you, of the following. Okay, so before you go any further, here are the instructions. It is telling you what to do for this short FRQ. Remember, it's a short one. That means you get 15 minutes. That means you have 5 minutes to upload afterwards, and it's weighted 35%. Okay, so you should be quick in your head. When it's giving you 15, really you should get it done in like 5 or 10 at the most. Okay, so again, here's our favorite word of, well, maybe it's not our favorite, but it's definitely an AP testing word, right? Describe. Yesterday we talked about what describe is, but describe is to give an account, to convey, to characterize. We did that yesterday, so hopefully that's just a reminder. But the whole point of this, to give an account, to convey, to characterize, this is all storytelling. Tell us a little story about it. Which is different than explain. Remember, explain means to make something really simple. To describe is to storytell about it, give lots of detail. Okay, so we're going to storytell. We're going to give lots of detail about properties of water. That is the focus of your answer, a property of water. And we listed a bunch yesterday while you were doing your FRQ, but this is where you're going to start. You're going to just list some properties of water again. That's where I would start. Just list properties you know of. And then where they're going to get us is that it very clearly lists 3 things for us to draw upon, right? Transpiration, thermoregulation, and endotherms. And then the plasma membrane. And we can assume that this plasma membrane is referring to cellular plasma membranes. Versus some organisms that have like a jelly structure. So this is cellular structure, right? Okay, so where they're going to get us is they listed 3. So, but the directions say only talk about 2. Make sure that it's in bold letters. You would think you wouldn't miss that, right? But would you think that they would mark points off for doing all 3 if they only asked for 2? Yeah, absolutely. They're going to be like, wow, you can't follow directions. And all of a sudden, even if you had the most gorgeous answer, your 5 went down to a 4. period. That's just how it's going to go. Like, it's because you didn't follow instructions. Make sure you only do as many as they tell you to do. So you're going to pick 2 of these and talk about how the property of water plays into or ties into these different these 2 processes of life. Okay? So you're going to tell a little story about transpiration and what properties of water help with transpiration, or you're going to tell a little story about thermoregulation and endoderms and how and what specific property or properties of water help with thermoregulation, or you're going to talk about the plasma membrane structure, the structure of a cell, and how does water, the property of water, play into that. Okay, and you only have to do 2 out of the 3. Remember, this is a storytelling one, so to me, this one doesn't say, ooh, I'm going to need a lot of drawings. This one, I want a lot of words. Now, could you still draw a picture if you're having trouble conveying what you mean? Of course. A lot of you yesterday when you did your FRQs, you were talking to me about density of water, how frozen water is less dense than liquid water, and therefore it flows. We talked about how that thermoregulates a lake or an ocean because the animals underneath can stay warm and insulated. But then we were just having trouble using describing words or storytelling words for your reader. And so it was hard to really get that picture across. That's a great opportunity to draw the lake with the frozen ice on top and your animals underneath in the liquid water swimming around and living their best life even though it's winter. And, you know, and labeling it nice for your reader so that they understand that you understand what you're talking about. Okay. Let's see. 8:19. We'll say 8:34. Oh, 8:35. 8:35 to be done answering this one. Ready, set, go. I'm just going to be here picking up my pens. I'm going to go back to sharing the actual FRQ, but if you'd like me to go back to my whiteboard, just holler. Oh. Oh. Great, 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 great. So we're about 3 or 4 minutes into this FRQ out of 15. Remember, that's supposed to be plenty of time, more than enough time. So at this point, even after the first 2-3 minutes or so, you should have probably already at least read through the question many times so that you feel comfortable with what you're supposed to answer. Maybe you made a note to yourself just like we did, okay, I only have to do 2. Then maybe you've listed your properties of water and then kind of matched them with some of the processes below that they've offered you to use. So transpiration, thermoregulation, plasma membrane structure. So at least you have come up with a plan now and maybe you're starting to write. About halfway through your time, you might even be starting to wrap up your thoughts and go back and reread what you wrote. Thumbs up or thumbs down. You can assign multiple properties of water to one process. Yeah, thumbs up for sure. Yeah, if you can think of 2 properties of water that both contribute to thermoregulation, great. Okay, I've got about 3 more minutes. Okay, can't see all of you, but does anyone need more time? Awesome, seems like we're good. Okay, so that's a good sign, right? No one had to use all 15 minutes, and it's only our first go at this particular FRQ. Albeit it is very similar to the one yesterday, right? It's not exactly the same, it's worded slightly different, but again, it's going back to properties of water and how those properties are essential to life on our planet. Great, so just as a quick review again for everyone, but especially for Daniel, since he wasn't here yesterday. At this point, after that 15 minutes is up, you will have an additional 5 minutes to upload this into the AP system. So they don't actually like stop you from responding at that point. They will just say like, ding, okay, now you have 5 minutes to upload your assignment. Could you still, if you weren't quite done, could you still use a couple of those 5 minutes to finish your response? Sure, but now you're getting into that scary orange yellow zone of like, ooh, do I have enough time to upload? And make sure that technology works. Now, this year it's very contingent on the fact that your internet is great, right? Because if you have any spotty issues in your internet and you're having trouble uploading things, no one is around to help you. And you can't blame it on anyone. You can't blame it on school. School can't help you on this one. So you really want to make sure that you have strong internet that day, that you kick the rest of your family off the internet and you're like, I have to upload these things. It's very important that they work the first time around. And get your computers up and ready to go, or your phone or your iPad or whatever you're going to use ready to go, and make it really happy and it's nice and charged so that you don't have any technology issues that you're running into. Now, when it comes to what is actually uploaded, it can be like a picture of what you were working on. If you just wrote it on a scratch piece of paper, that's fine. If you are confident that your handwriting is legible to them, you can totally upload handwritten notes or your response. You can also type it into a Google Doc. You can also draw it in Notability, and you can upload whatever you want. It can be, I think I want to say for the short answer ones, it can be up to like 4 different documents. I mean, why you would need that many to get your point across, I don't know. But like, let's say you took like 4 pictures of what you did, you could upload all of those. And that's totally fine. It can be a PDF, it can be a JPEG, it can be a JPN, it can be a doc, it could be a Word doc, whatever. There's lots of different file types. Basically, in that 5-minute time, you snap a picture or you download your file, and it'll say, choose a file you'd like to upload. You click that, it'll open up, your browser to pick the file, or if you're on your iPad, you can just select it from the list and drag and drop it in. There's, depending on what platform you're on, it's just as easy as submitting normal work on like Haiku or Google Classroom. You're just finding the document you want, dropping it into the folder, and saying submit. Really, that could take you maybe 30 seconds. They give you 5 minutes though, so that in case something goes wrong or you can't find it or you have multiple files, whatever, you've got that 5-minute cushion. So now I've talked through our 5-minute cushion and we've all uploaded our work, and you would be then done. Yay. So now I'll take the last maybe 5 minutes or so just to answer any questions on this one if you have them. If you're like, I don't really have any burning questions right now, I just want you to look over it, you're more than welcome to email me your FRQ and I can give you some feedback on it. Basically what I did for some people yesterday is just kind of tell them what score I would give them on that FRQ and then make suggestions if it wasn't a perfect 5. Which at this point, like, it's pretty hard to like just start off and nail a 5 on the first try. But the ones yesterday were pretty darn good. So keep that up. Remember to stay concise. Like don't get too wordy. Yes, when they say describe, they do want you to storytell, but you don't need to go into once upon a time when under a blue sky, the ocean was lovely. Like, don't get crazy. Be concise, get to the point so that your reader doesn't have to hunt for your answer. It should be super clear. Okay, I'll shut up. You ask questions if you have them. Oh, there's one in the chat, and then I'll do the chat and then Chanel. What happens if everyone is on the AP website and it crashes? Could you imagine? Yikes! I guess that wouldn't be crazy, right? They are now doing all of these APs, in theory at the same time. Granted, the APs are spread out obviously by section and by time zone. So, well, that's not true actually, because technically it's all time zones at the same time. Well, anyway, AP Bio all at once. Yeah, there's a good chance that things get a little crazy. Usually that would come down with your final submission, meaning upload shouldn't be a problem. That's contingent on your own internet and your own computer speed. But it would just be that final, like, yes, I'm done. I would like to submit my AP. Yeah, that could be part of their system. So, I mean, I guess just make sure that in the end you're taking screenshots and pictures and documenting everything you're doing as far as what time you're starting and stuff like that. And when it finally gives you that, like, you have submitted your AP, screenshot that baby so that you can verify that you got it done. But I'll throw that same question, Franklin, into the teacher chat that I'm in, the AP teacher chat I'm in, and see if anyone has any thoughts towards it too. Okay, Chanel.
So it said to describe just the physical properties of water, but I wasn't sure if it wanted us to go in depth in them. So like I talked about for transpiration, cohesion and adhesion, but then I went into depth saying like, oh, it's because of its polarity that it can do that with itself. So should we do that, or does it just want the physical property?
No, I think it's important to touch on those chemical properties. I mean, as long as you're touching on them and you're not going into depth on what polarity is, so to speak, just saying that water is polar in this particular question, I think would be enough. But yeah, I think you're right. It doesn't actually say, sorry, I'm just rereading it to myself here. It's physical properties. Yeah, I don't think there's any problem talking about chemical properties as well.
And then I have another one for the second. I did plasma membrane next, but I focused on, not really focused on, but I focused on like the phospholipids being hydrophobic and hydrophilic, and then just saying because water is polar, that the phosphorus group is. So is that what it means by water's physical property, or like?
Yep, that would be totally fine. And just even the nature of a plasma membrane has that phospholipid bilayer that is dependent on hydro anything, water loving or water hating, right? That, hey, it's in the name. Yeah, that works.
Thank you.
You got it. Great. Well, again, you can email me your FRQ if you want me to look over it and give you any feedback or suggestions. We are doing another FRQ in class today. That's the theme for the next 5 weeks. FRQs galore. I think the take home will start to be, again, reminding ourselves to be clear and concise, reminding ourselves to not overthink and go back and try to add more just because we have more time, and to stay organized through all this. So, I mean, 2 days, we're 3 FRQs in already. We're about to do a 4th. Like, start to get these organized. Maybe you're adding them to a notebook or a file on your iPad or your computer so that you can easily access these on the day of. And if you're like, what, I can look at these on the day of? Of course you can. Yes, this is open note, open book, open whatever you want during these FRQs. So it's really important that you have these nice and organized so that when you see your particular FRQ pop up on the day of, you can easily go and find the ones that best match so that you can draw from those on the day of. If you're unorganized and they're all over the place and you're having to read through FRQs that you've already done in order to answer the one that you're given, that's going to just waste time. That's crazy. Make sure that you stay organized in all this. Maybe it's a notebook or whatever, like I said. I think that's it. I think I just said this. Sorry, I'm hallucinating. That today during class we will have one more FRQ. It's our last one of Unit 1 as far as practice goes. So you will then have had a little pack of 4 FRQs to practice for Unit 1. That doesn't mean that's all that you have access to or should do. There's tons out there in AP land. So search for them or go on our Haiku and look at the FRQs that I've posted. There's tons there. Embedded within the videos that I've given you, there's tons of FRQs in there. So just because these are the 4 that we're practicing in class doesn't mean that that's all there is out there, okay? And feel free to do more if you like, but then we will be moving on to Unit 2 tomorrow. Okie dokie. You got another 15, 16-minute break if you're in period 2, and then I'll see you in our class Zoom. Otherwise, if you're period 3, take a snooze, have some breakfast, watch a show, and I'll see you in a little bit. All right, see you guys. Thank you.